thing there. Oh.
Night and day I catching hell. People think I'm doing well just because I sing a few calypso. But that is my misery. Calypso don't make money, but most of them don't know that I have my actual pride, just like any other man, existing in poverty and this giant ghetto land. But I intend to have one. Tell them
Show you what. No, give me 1 second. I'm trying to find something. You could
I am going to go sitting in the cold, not me. No way, they will have to beat me. They will have to beat me. By the head go. Tell them I say I was born in this land. I go die in this land. Nobody go run me. So when it come from, nobody go run me, lad. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Me mama was young. Me papa was young. Me woman was young. Me female was young. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me, lad. Nobody go run me. Life is much for us to choose. Some we win and some we lose. But sometimes life is so confusing. I had a lot of friends one time. They might used to wine and dine and gave them bread when they need it. Now most of them against me. Take the enemy. Simply because I am now what they all want me to be. And with the political view like that, free. But tell them for me no life. I ain't gonna live life. I ain't gonna grow old. Sitting in the cold, not me, I'll give you. No, they will have to beat me. They will have to beat me. Or the heads go roll. Tell them I say I was born in this land. I go die in this land. Nobody go run me. From when it comes down, nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me. Nobody go run me.
No. Just a job. No, and me. It was me. It was not for Okay, you ready? Yep.
Hi, you're tuned in to Just Jamila. You know the rules. I talk about what I want to talk about until you call to change the subject. So call 773-0390 or 773-0490 and get to know and talk to me because I'm Just Jamila.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views or opinions of WSDX, its owners, advertisers, employees, or management. Email us your comments at WSDX@BIRadio.com.
Firing some shot.
That's how he loves it.
Coming in red hot. I just clean up the nozzle. I just do my parents and I tap the camera. Cause I gonna pull my trigger. Firing some shot.
Good morning, and how are you guys doing this wonderful Saturday morning, Saturday, October 25th, 2025. If you guys are tuned in, you're at 970 a.m. on your radio dial, or you're listening to me at WSTXradio.com, or you're following me on my Just Jamila page on the interweb. I want to say good morning to one and all. And before I lose before I start. Let me get some niceties out of the way. I first and foremost want to say, just because she's been a thorn in my side since the day she was born, but I love her like pig love mud. I want to say happiest of birthday to my Ashley Nicole. If you guys see Ashley Nicole this weekend, let her know that she's deeply loved. And just tell her, hey, Jamie loves you plenty. So just send her along her way with that. I should I should say that how as homeowners you put up signs like beware of whatever is in your yard. I should give you all a disclaimer. If you don't really know her, chances are if you tell her happy birthday, Ashley, she might look at you like, who are you? Just as a warning. But yeah, she's nice for the most part. Yeah, she behaves in public sometimes. So if you see her, approach with caution, but make sure you say happy birthday to my Ashley Nicole. Good morning, Diane Alec. How are you, my cousin? I love you bad. But so if you see Ashley, tell her a happy birthday as well. And good morning, Auntie Patrice. How are you? And I want to also say happy birthday. Yesterday, my little love bug, Kai, turned 6. He is my favorite little 6-year-old. I love him so much. And if you guys, he's playing baseball today. So go down to Wim and support his team and say happy birthday, Kai, and just tell him Jamie loves you. Well, actually, he don't call me Jamie. He is a Jamila. So and he says my name so cute. He's like Jamila. Yeah. So he has the most adorable way of pronouncing my name. So if you guys are down in Wim supporting Little League and you see Kai, I don't know what number he is, if they even have numbers. I don't know. But he'll play for Blue Team. Just say happy birthday to Kai. And I also want to say happy birthday, to a wonderful young lady. She doesn't live here. She lives in Atlanta. She is my son's stepdaughter. I want to say happy birthday to her. That's his daughter-in-law. We don't do steps in our family. Once your family, use family. So I want to say happy birthday to Miss Brianna. That is my girl. That's my lineman buddy when I hit the ATL. So I want to say happy birthday to Brianna as well. So I think I am done with all of the birthdays for this week. I know upcoming Carolyn, if y'all know Carolyn Nielsen Galloway, her birthday is Monday or Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday. It might be Monday. I don't remember. But it's one of them days. If it ain't Monday, it's Tuesday. So if y'all know Carol, make sure if you see her this weekend, you wish her a happy birthday. All right. So I needed to get those things out of the way. And I think I'm changing the format. I usually say my good stuff in the morning, followed by like the sad stuff. But what I want to do is I'm going to do all of the good stuff like at the beginning of the show. And before I close the show, I'll do like my condolence messages or anything else that isn't so happy. I'll do that towards the end of the show. All right. So that, we could delve right into the show and not be heavy with the sad stuff. I prefer to leave y'all with the sad stuff and not carry all the sad stuff with me throughout the show. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. So that's how we're going to do it. So we'll do the good stuff at the beginning of the show, and then the sad stuff, because, there's always sadness. That's the circle of life. And we'll share that towards the end of the show. All right. So good morning, Mommy. How are you? So I'm a little bit annoyed this morning, and I'm annoyed because I like for people to tell the truth about me. Like, I don't mind people talking about me, really. And so things, so let me just make that clear. I like people talking about me. Like let me just put it out there. I like when you talk about me. It gives me this inflated sense of importance. I feel, I like when y'all talk about me, you know. You get your thrills one way or the other. So I like when people talk about me. Talk about me. I don't care, right? And typically it really doesn't matter to me what people say about me. Like, you could call me fat, you could call me ugly, you could call me what you want to call me. My family and friends will tell you the only thing that bothers me is when somebody call me unsmart, unintelligent, less capable. Like, don't call me any variation of the of dumb, because then that bothers me, right? That'll hurt my feelings because I pride myself on not being that. So everything else you could cuss me about, right? When you say like, oh, Jamila dumb, that'll hurt my feelings. But other than that, things typically roll off of my back. So I want you to know that typically, and if people don't like me, it don't really bother me. I don't forget that people don't like me, and I just tell people I am famous for telling people hello that don't talk to me. I don't forget, because it don't phase me. I've gone into places, hi, how are you? And then wonder why they watch me and cut up their eye. I'd be like, oh yeah, they don't like me anymore. Oh, why? Because y'all to drink tea for other people's fever. So it's okay. You don't like me, take a number, go to the back of the line, you'll be 897 million, whatever number you are at that point, right? But what I don't like is people who have a platform and they willfully lie. I come up here on my radio program and I try to tell the truth. I try to present you with the facts, and then I tell you, don't trust me. This is where I got my information from, and I provide you with the resources, and I tell you to go so you can form your own opinion. Do I like people agreeing with me? Of course. Do I want people to agree with me all the time? Never. That doesn't bode well, right? So you have to have some disagreement. People have to give you pushback. And everybody can't agree with you. Everybody can't see circumstances the same way. But what remains the same throughout the course of people not liking you or not agreeing with you is facts, truth and facts. And sometimes it is what it is. Truth and facts remain constant. And there's a difference between facts and truth, because your truth isn't my truth, but the facts remain constant. We have the same set of facts, but how you receive those facts and interpret it and behave with it is your truth, and my truth might look like something else. So facts kind of remain constant. And when you have a platform, I present things to you. What you want to do with it is fine. We have presented facts to the people of the Virgin Islands many times before, because I'm not new to this game. I'm true to this game. And y'all have re-elected the people that have done some horrible things. And there are people you find a way to contort your body to justify their behavior, and that's fine. I have presented you the facts. You choose that you can forgive, you can forget, you can live with. That's on you. That's your burden to bear. And so I like when people come to tell the truth. And what I don't like is people who on the Senate floor and in all other spaces like to talk about how godly they are and then does lie. And then does do all kinds of ungodly things, but then want to present to the public like they're this pillar of goodness. They're this pillar of virtue. They're this pillar of godly behavior. When in fact, they're just as Jezebelish as me. I don't like it. And when it happens, I'm going to call you out, especially when it involves the work that I do. Because there's one thing I pride myself on, is providing quality work. And all y'all could say, people like, in the Virgin Islands, when you have a job and you defend the work that you do, so many of you like to say you're singing for your supper. Well, I can't sing, but if y'all say singing for my supper, then give me the award for best singer. Because I am proud of the work that I do. And I'm not ashamed of the work that I do. I take pride in the work that I do, and I'm going to defend the work that I do. And nobody don't text me and tell me don't say this and don't say that and to behave. Behavior is for children. Okay? I don't like that. When you have a platform because you pay for time, because you want to keep in touch with your people, because you're an elected person, yes, share your platform, but don't lie. And so I am going to read something because all of these so-called Christians that was professed on the Senate floor about God and praise God and thank God, and before the talk, everything is about God, and then they just lie. So I am going to share with you. I already told y'all, right, that during the week of markup, there was discussions about removing two bills. Bills number 36-0105 and 36-0144 from the rules agenda because the legislature isn't a monolith. The legislature isn't one person. Hold on one second. Right? The legislature is an institution, and you need your colleagues to support your measure. And so while there was overwhelming support for both measures, senators recognized that both measures needed amendments, not simple amendments like strike one word and insert another word. They needed substantial amendments. And so there was discussions to remove the bills from the Rules Committee and send it back to the Committee of Jurisdiction, right? And those discussions were had. The proponent of those measures, who I work for, advised Clifford Joseph, and for the sake of this conversation, I'm gonna just call people by the first name because both of them share the same last name. And I don't want y'all to get confused. So I'm gonna call them, for the sake of this discussion, by their first name. I don't mean any disrespect to the office that they hold. I'm calling them by the first name to make it easier for my beloved listening audience to understand my frustration. And so Clifford advised Carla, listen, we're going to make a move to have both bills sent back to the committee because they need amendments. He told her that not once, not twice, but 3 times verbally. The last of which I was present for in St. Croix. And she said her response was, and I shared this with you, well, they're in my committee and I'm going to schedule them. I'm scheduling them to be heard, right? I was present. I told him, he looked at me like, what's up with that? I said, listen, let me find out if they need to be scheduled so that you can make the motion to send them back to the committee. Long story short, you need to, the bills would need to be on the agenda so that you didn't have to do a special motion to have them to be placed on the agenda to then move them back to the committee, all right? I tell him, it's okay, we will proceed. Our office start to receive phone calls from stakeholders we were having meetings with to tell us that Senator Joseph had invited them to present testimony. If you look at the agenda for the Committee on Rules and Judiciary, the same invited testifiers that we had in the Committee on Homeland Security, Justice, and Public Safety were listed on her agenda. And then she added a bunch of her people them for the gun bill, which is 36-0144. When we got light of that, Senator Joseph, because I can't take a liar, because you can lack from a thief, you can't lack from a liar. In a memo dated September 25th, 2025, to Carla Joseph, bills number 36-0105 and 36-01044. Come on, phone, cooperate. Pursuant to my discussion with you on Monday, September 25th, Monday, September 22nd, 2025. The appropriate motion will be made to return bills number 36-0105 and 36-0144 to the Committee on Homeland Security, Justice, and Public Safety for further vetting and amendments. It has been brought to my attention that individuals have been invited to provide testimony at the October 9th, 2025 Committee on Rules and Judiciary meeting. Through this correspondence, I am requesting that those invitations be rescinded to those invited, as those invited to testify will be providing testimony without the full breadth of the measures that may result in further confusion and anxiety in the community. The co-sponsors and I have been meeting with stakeholders on the necessary amendments and have determined that the best course of action is to revisit the measures in the Committee of Jurisdiction. Thank you in advance for your cooperation and support. Should you have any questions or concern, feel free to reach out to me. So he sent her that on September 25th. Let me hold on there. Hold on. At 4:20 p.m., right? Because I can't take these people going, calling God name every minute, love to pray, but then just lie. Or don't tell the truth. Or don't present the facts. Y'all pick which one y'all think is more emotionally intelligent or politically correct. So, and wait, hold on. Because I ain't trying to lie to Ayo. And then on Friday, September 26th at 4:50 p.m., Senator Carla Joseph responded. And this is her letter. It's a dissertation, so I need to wait, be patient with me because it's a long letter. I have received your memo dated September 25th, 2025, which requests that bills number 36-0105 and bill number 36-0144 be returned to the Committee on Homeland Security, Justice, and Public Safety for additional review and amendments. As chair of the Committee on Rules and Judiciary, I collaborate with my staff to promptly place measures that have been voted out of other jurisdictional committees on our agenda. These measures will be further vetted by the Rules and Judiciary, which will include invited testifiers who are subject matter experts, as well as community members and stakeholders who have a vested interest in the subject matter. This process will allow us to further deliberate on the bills in committee before they're forwarded to the full legislative body for consideration. My staff and I meticulously reviewed and contacted experts and individuals who are familiar with the subject matters to thoroughly evaluate the bills and provide their input for the Committee on Rules and Judiciary to consider during the preparation of the October 9th agenda. The Virgin Islands Police Department Commissioner Mario Brooks, Virgin Islands Department of Justice Attorney General Gordon Ray Esquire, and VI Safe Gun Owners members, Mr. Koso Ono, has been invited by the Committee on Rules and Judiciary to testify on bill number 36-0144. This act amends Title 14. Okay, so she said a thing, whatever. I'm going to read the title. The committee has extended invitations to the following individuals: Justa Encarnacion, Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Health; Natalie Hodge, Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs; Ms. Joanne Richards, Mr. Dwayne, and those are all of the people who are on the other bill. I don't tell y'all where to go for that. Furthermore, based on an email received on September 12th from the remedy owners, Ms. Lindsay Rittermel and Mr. Ryan Corrig, we were identified to testify on bill number 36-0105, right? Certainly, the Committee on Homeland Security and Public Safety had the opportunity to review the measures and vote appropriately thereby advancing them from said committee to the Committee on Rules and Judiciary for further consideration in order to continue the legislative process. Based on your request to alleviate any additional confusion and anxiety that stakeholders have conveyed to you, the co-sponsors of the bills and other legislatures, as well as our community, I will take your request under advisement and deep consideration, right? That is it, and that is all. Now, you would think she said she would take it under advisement. How you gonna go on a radio program and say you never get any correspondence from the senator? That's line number one. You need to stop. And you say you're going to take it under advisement. And I am here to tell you that Senator Clifford Joseph wasn't the only one that reached out to the committee chair. A lot of other senators reached out to her, to include the majority leader and I think the president, to ask her to pull these bills. You're causing confusion for the institution. And she refused to budge. But that's what happens when you identify people with vested interests that you have similar vested interests with. That's what happens when politicians don't have to succumb to potential and maybe former campaign sponsors and donors. And that's what happened. The pistachio that happened in the legislature on October 9th was created by Carla Joseph and Carla Joseph only, because Carla Joseph seems to believe that she and her staff dictates what the Rules Committee is supposed to do. Pursuant to the rules of the legislature, they define the committee. No place in the rules of the legislature does it say the staff and the chair determines. It says the committee. Yes, in practical sense, if you are managing a committee, you're going to talk to your staff, but you also reach out to your committee members. Like, you don't schedule a committee meeting if you know all of your committee members going to be absent. You have to have discussions with your committee members. Typical, I always called members of the committee that I work for to find out if the members are going to be present and if the members are okay with the bills that are placed on the agenda. I take advice and input from them. Sometimes they tell you, merge two bills. You could hear those two bills in one block. And we take those things under consideration, and we speak to the committee members. Her letter says, my staff and I. Senator Clifford Joseph said his co-sponsors and him, they're meeting. Not once did Senator Joseph, Carla Joseph, ask in this memo that she wrote, after she received a memo speaking about amendments, not once did she ask, well, will your amendments be ready for the hearing so that then they can have a discussion on those amendments? Not once did she ask. But then you want to sit up on your radio station and act like the victim? No, you've been this way from the time you get sworn in. I'll never forget. I didn't even know Donna Fred Gregory for 2 weeks. I hadn't even worked for her for 2 weeks. And the first inaugural session, you are part of a majority. Y'all working on the rules, and you trancing up in the first session of the legislature about objection. When you are part of the majority and you know that y'all were working on the rules, when people show you who they are the first time, you're supposed to believe them. Then when you run in the committee on government operations, and the legislature decided that they were going to have a committee of the whole and WAPA, you decide that you want to send out a memo and an invitation to WAPA to bring them into your committee prior to the committee on the whole, because you want to sit in the chair. You want to be able to pound the gavel. You want to be the person managing and leading. And I will say that is why your colleagues didn't pick you to be president of this institution. You have demonstrated a desire, a lust to be the center of attention. And who vexed dead and who dead bury. But you don't get to go on your radio program because Clifford Joseph don't have a radio program, and Clifford Joseph ain't the kind of man that gonna come out and act like how you just act to try to say that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. So that you and your friends them and the people who you are obligated to could try to force this government to allow somebody who has said time and time again that he's not a resident of the Virgin Islands to carry an assault weapon around the streets of the Virgin Islands. And that's all it boiled down to. One man that is not from the Virgin Islands. One man that says, I don't live in the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands is not my place of residence. And if y'all don't believe me, you can go on the right wing, Donald Trump supporting platform and hear him for yourself. At the 24-minute mark, he says he's not a resident of the Virgin Islands. But you don't live here. You're not a resident of the Virgin Islands. And you want that when you come, you could just walk our streets with this kind of weapon that go all over. And we're supposed to be like, okay, because you have money, we're going to give it to you. Not all Virgin Islanders can be sold and bought on the open market. And contrary to common belief, there are a lot of Virgin Islanders that don't want to be sold like slaves around here and bartered for. Facts remain facts. You were notified. You continued. October 9th was the meeting. Up to October 7th, they sent out a revised agenda, inviting more people to this pestacle after senators asked you to remove, to don't do it, rescind it. Everybody tried to talk sense into you, and nobody, you didn't listen. That is not the kind of person that should be sitting as the head of the Committee of Rules and Judiciary. She rang. That is why people make mockery of our institution. And that is the same individual out of her own mouth that said that she passed an incomplete document out of the legislature to those same people to rile them up. Because when you're talking about leak and a leaky boat, everybody wanted to know. Out of her own mouth, she said, I shared it with them. Senator Gittins received an attorney general's opinion. I went to distribute it, and she asked me out of her own mouth, send it to me by email so I could share it with them guys. I said, I'm not sharing anything with you. You will have to have a conversation with Senator Gittins. You see, the thing about the truth and facts, it'll remain consistent, ain't gonna change. I tell her just so. And they say a picture tells 1,000 words. And their pictures, the pictures taken the day of October 9th says it all for me. But see, I'm glad. I have always been an outsider. I have always suffered the consequences for speaking the truth and for presenting facts. I ban ya. I gone dead ya. My family ain't just come here. My family been ya. I am generational and I gone dead ya. I ain't got no place else to go. I don't want to go any place else. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to take somebody who's not of this soil, who does not care about the people of the Virgin Islands, and because they have money, you jumping up behind them, prancing up behind them. And that's a tomfoolery. I see so many learned and educated individuals running behind a single man who is lying to them. Read the bill for yourself. Whatever gun you had that you were able to have for home protection, you continue to have it. The only thing is this man wants this military style weapon to walk up and down the government street with. And he is a liar, a pathological liar. Going on platforms, and I don't care because I don't know them Americans, and me will never see them. And just like I will never see he after this whole bill business done with, I know I ain't gonna never see him again. Me and he ain't gonna never be in the same space. And I don't want to be in the same space with him because he's nothing but a stinking dirty liar. And he's lying to the people that he's sending out group text to and telling them falsehoods. You can lack from a thief, but you can't lack from a liar. And that's how come he can't watch me in my face. And he can't tell me nothing. Because I tell he, you is a liar to his face. And all of you who want to prance up behind him, prance. Because I understand y'all have issues with the Virgin Islands Police Department, but your issue with the police department isn't his issue with the police department. Deal with your issue. His issue is a completely different issue. He don't live here. He doesn't care about the well-being of the Virgin Islands. He doesn't care when our Black people die in the streets. He don't care that our hospitals ain't fixed. He don't care that we don't have a good school system. He don't care that our roads are filled with potholes. All he cares about is renting out his marina down in Crown Bay and walking around with a machine type rifle because he's so afraid. Well, if you're so afraid at the Virgin Islands, don't come here. Do not come here. If you feel that your life is so threatened in the Virgin Islands that you need that kind of weapon to walk the streets of the Virgin Islands or specifically the streets of St. Thomas, then don't come. Stay in Washington State. We don't want you. The last time I checked, I know I wasn't begging you, and I don't know any true, real Virgin Islander that begging you to come here. Stay where you live. Nobody ain't asked you to come here. You don't need to come here. Hire somebody to manage your business. It ain't like we gonna miss you. It ain't like we like you. So they say, tell the truth and shame the devil. Well, I was looking for my little red. I have some red devil ears, right? Because I would be the devil. And the fact that a sitting senator could use their radio program to lie on the entire institution and belittle the institution is a crying shame. Is a shame. Shame on you, Senator Joseph. My good friend Charlemagne, the guy give the biggest donkey, right? I wanted to call in yesterday to his radio program and give the biggest donkey, the biggest hee-ha to Carla Joseph because she's the biggest donkey. Who vexed dead? Nobody don't tell me nothing. I am on my time. I am not on the government time, and I'm my time. This is my mouth. I gonna say what I want. The only thing they could tell me is you can't work for me anymore, and I'll go look another job. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. All right. So now that we're done with the liars, Jen is going to come and do a station ID. Come, Jen, come do your station ID. All these damn liars. Oh no, we ain't done with the liars. Lord, I can't even done with the liar. Liar, pants on fire. Lord, look how I almost missed the other liar in the room. All these lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. All alone, something. How does the song go? Somebody calling. I'm going to play that song for y'all. Let me see who this is calling me. Yes, good morning. How can I help you? Hello.
Yes, good morning, my dear Jamila. How are you today?
I am well.
I just tuned in and I heard you with the volume and your voice way up, and I was wondering if...
Oh, my volume ain't way up, man. My volume ain't way up. I just want to know. I just want to make sure the people in the back of the room can hear me. The mic might be a little bit. The mic might be a little bit high today. I'll tell Jen to turn it down. No.
Yeah, we hearing you loud and clear. But let me say this to something you said. You said there's not all of us that can be bought and sold in high daylight. But a lot of us being sold in the dark and the night.
Me saying the bright daylight, I said, ain't all of us in the Virgin Islands that could be bought and sold. So
okay. they like that.
Oh.
But I say that to say that we are being told all the time in the middle of the night. And you see, maybe, and let's continue to pray that it does not happen here in the Virgin Islands. But in the contiguous continental United States, AR-15 or AK-47 is one of the licenses that you are issued. All these little boys are killing people in school and things. They got license for them things. So let's pray, and I would join you in praying and running anyone away that would want to wish that on the people of the Virgin Islands. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah. So they say you can hide from a thief, you can't hide. You can't hide from a liar. Well, I am not going to blame the delegate for this. So let me just open my discussion with saying that I don't blame the delegate for this. But I'm gonna blame her sycophants them. All the people who just be jumping up on the plasket for Team Plasket. I don't know what they're jumping up for. Because I don't know what she's running for, what she's doing, because I know she's fell out of favor. It appears that she fell out of favor with the Democratic Party. But everybody in the world know, why is Team Plasket wanting to take credit for the rum cover over? You didn't do nothing. You didn't even vote on the bill. How your team, listen, so to Team Plasket, right, in this day of technology, please don't post things that are lies, because there are people who are going to fact check you in real time. Another set of lies. This team, listen, some people send me some stuff that a Team Plasket put in on their Facebook page, and I think I'm the only person that ain't get invited. So as I know the person who's running her campaign on St. Croix, Renee, my good friend, how can you send me an invite? Politics don't come between me and Renee friendship. Renee, how come you send me I invite to like the page so I could see the lies are you telling? People have to screenshot and text it to me and things. I invited me to see the page so I could see the lies, but I saw the lie. Team Plasket lied. She was not instrumental in a thing. She do a thing to get the 13 wherever month it is for the rum cover over. I am going to, whether you like Albert Bryan or you don't like Albert Bryan, this was all Team Albert Bryan. This was Team Albert, Team Abra, Team Albert. It was not anything, it had nothing to do with Stacey Plaskett. Stacey Plaskett, when she had a Democrat in the White House and a democratically led Congress, said to the people of our Virgin Islands, hello, my good friends who have used me to impeach Donald Trump the first time has told me that they don't think that this is a priority right now. So I can't bring this to the forefront. That was her response, that she didn't, her colleagues, the people that she went out on a limb for, and her Hakeem Jeffries, and so who's her brother, because she said, she say, Hakeem Jeffries them tell her it was not at the appropriate time. So I don't know how Team Plaskett could say that. And I'm sure that when she saw that, I am hoping that she tell them, take it down because that ain't not true. And there's too much evidence pointing to me not having anything to do with this for me to be able to put a spin on it and fool the people into thinking that I actually did something that I didn't do, because she didn't do anything. Oh, my friend Henry Shang always trolling me. No, when I'm talking about in our Virgin Islands. In our Virgin Islands, Henry. For us. Team Puerto Rico, of course, did what they needed to do. Their resident commissioner, or whatever his title is, they did whatever they needed to do. But Albert Bryan had a relationship with a senator in Congress is made up of two houses. There's the upper house and the lower house. There's the House of Representatives, which is that house that is closest to the people. I think they have like 438 members, and it's done by district. And then the Senate is 2 per state. And so the governor courted this senator, and the senator put it in the bill, and that's how we were able, of course, Puerto Rico did their thing, but we're not talking about Puerto Rico. I'm talking about who in the Virgin Islands, and it was Team Albert doing the legwork that they needed to do to get it done. So I'm sure that, I'm sure the delegate not wanting to take credit that isn't hers told her team, you're gonna have to edit that post, edit that flyer, because I didn't do anything to bring the rum cover over back to the territory. There's too much evidence to the contrary. When the legislature was attempting and had the permission from the U.S. Department of the Treasury, the delegate came out against the saving of the GRS. So there's just too much evidence that says she did not want to help for her to take credit when it passed. And you can't say that I did something when nobody in the Democratic Party voted for the bill that the rum cover over monies was attached to. So I know that they're good spin doctors over on Team Plaskett, but they're gonna have to spin that for me to be able to wrap my head around it, because I can't wrap my head around how your whole party ain't vote for it. You never introduce it, but then you're responsible for it. Sounds a little lieish to me. All right. So that's all I'm gonna say. Let me just say, just seems a little lieish. So yeah, and why is Henry harassing me? Henry says the governor and my good friend Terry worked there behind the scenes for the permanent extension. That they did. So that seems like a little, actually not a little lie. That's a big lie. Stop taking credit for things that ain't yours. So Team Plaskett, moving forward, just take credit for the things that you did, and don't take credit for things that you didn't do, because we're still waiting for SSI. So help me out, help me get at. We good. You ain't doing that. Stop taking credit for things that you didn't do, and don't take credit for entitlement funds. That doesn't work either. And so let me tell the listening audience, in Congress, you pass a bill and every state and territory gets a portion of road funds and all of that. So you can't take credit for giving us something that we were going to get, even if you ain't been there, because it's called entitlement, and it's all the states to split it. If it was not a special appropriation specifically for the Virgin Islands, for something that the Virgin Islands actually need, then you can't take credit for it. Let me give you for example. For example, we need federal funds to be able to build a second boat that takes passengers or to provide transportation from St. Thomas to St. Croix, because that's considered a federal highway route. All right. Now, if you are able to secure a funding source and get an appropriation passed specifically for that, and you make that announcement, that is something that you worked for. That wasn't an entitlement. Then you could take credit for that. Entitlement stuff, you can't take credit for that. All right. So, so let's just tell the truth. Don't take credit for things that you didn't do. Moving forward, let's just all play fair in a sandbox. It's going to get, let me tell you, I think I'm going to be up here every Saturday. And for the record, my Wednesday show is resuming. I think what I'm going to do is, I have had a flurry of requests for interviews, because I kind of do good interviews. We'll do good interviews. We'll do interviews on the Wednesday. So on the Saturday mornings, we can do the cleanup work, because this election season, it's going to have a lot of cleanup work to do, because they're going to have a lot of mudslinging, and we're going to just present the facts. And if you're lying, we're going to say you're lying. If you ain't do it, we're going to say you ain't do it. If you do it, we're going to say that you've done it. And I'm going to tell you, some of you going to love me today, and then next week you're going to hate me because I'm talking about the person that you like. And then the following week you're going to like me again, because we all know that the Virgin Islands, we are fickle people. We like you today, we hate you tomorrow, then we love you next week. And I'm good with all of that. I am an equal opportunity basher. Everybody's going to get bashed. Everybody. Nobody's safe. Even people you think safe, they're not safe. You mess up, I'm going to call you out on it. So tread very lightly, because I'm an equal opportunity basher, and I have family members. When you said something, people still cutting up their eye after me in the grocery store. That's fine. I am good with it. I am an equal opportunity basher, and I am going to this campaign season coming up. Tell the truth. Do not lie, and you should be good. If you start lying to the people, or fluffing up things that you didn't do, I'm going to have to call you out on it. All right. So the fact of the matter is that Team Plasket, you had nothing to do with the wrong cover over. You didn't even want to. Everything for you was, you need to find a tax bill, you need to find a this, you had 1,000,001 excuses as to why you couldn't do it. And then now that it passed, your team saying that you do it. Tell them to stop. And I'm sure that she told them to don't lie on her behalf. I am saying that with all sincerity, that I do believe that she told them, do not lie on my behalf. Because that's what I would do. So I'm thinking that she did the same, or I'm hoping that she did the same. But that's a lie. She had nothing to do with it at all. She didn't even vote for it. All right. So check the congressional record. And as a matter of fact, she can't vote for it because she's not a voting member of Congress, and it didn't go through any committee that she had a vote on. So yeah, how are you taking credit for it? You couldn't even vote for it. But I digress. I wanted to make sure that you understand and tell the truth. All right. And then you won't have any problems with the INI. All right. The next thing I told y'all last week we're gonna start talking about a subject, and I forgot my copybook. I can't find my notebook, and Lord, I think I left it someplace, and if somebody finds that notebook, I am in deep doo-doo, because I have y'all know I write down all kinds of things. I write down the topics, I write down information that you don't have, and I have things in there that I don't want the public to see. And I've lost my notebook. I don't know what I did with my notebook. I left my house yesterday with it, and this morning I couldn't find it. It's not in my car. I don't know what I do with them. All right. So my auntie Mona says to tell y'all that she loves me. So even if y'all don't love me, she'll always love me. Thank you, Auntie Mona. But if you guys find a black and white composition notebook, on the cover in purple says Just Jamila, it's mine. Don't read the contents. Your feelings might get hurt. Just call me and let me come and get my copybook, please. Thank you. Yeah. Oh. Anyways, I want to share with you, there's a soccer game. I'm a soccer aunt this weekend. My niece Zanaya Gonzag is here in the Virgin Islands. She's playing for the Virgin Islands national team. That is my sister's Kai daughter, and her father is Zan Henry. Y'all know him as Zando. He's one of the best basketball players coming out of Safarali. Safarali has some good ball players. Zan is one of them.
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah, really good basketball players. So if you guys have the opportunity today at 4 o'clock, the team is playing a practice game. They have a match today. They had one last night at 4, and yesterday afternoon at 4, and there's another one today at 4. And it is in Estate Bethlehem. That's where they're called. Baka Aro Diaz. That's the proper name of our estate, Estate Bethlehem. Ugh. I do believe that's called Bethlehem. The soccer field in Estate Bethlehem. Come out and support them. I'm going to be there screaming, for Zanaya. And then before that, I'm going to be down in Wim for a 1:30 ball game. So I'm going to be at the ball game to watch Kai play and cheer him on. So come out and cheer the Little Leaguers down in Frederickstead. They're playing in the Wim ballpark. And then I'm going to leave from there, and I'm going to be at the soccer field. So, if you could do both like I'm doing, do it. If you can only do one, go out and support our children, pick your sport, and so support the children in our community. All right. So that's what it is. I need to share with you that Monday, Avery Lewis is asking everybody whether or not you are whether or not you work at the legislature or not, to wear purple Monday. It's wear purple on Monday in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and what else? It's some other month, and Rett Syndrome Awareness Month. So wear purple. Purple happens to be my favorite color. When I ran for office, and I tell me no, my campaign colors were purple. All right. So join the office of Senator Avery Lewis and everybody on, let's make this a purple day on Monday. So let's all wear purple. And purple became my favorite color. Just true story, so y'all know. I was in love with Michael Jackson and Prince. They could do no wrong in my eyes. And Purple Rain, the album, is between that and Lauryn Hill, they're tied for like my favorite non-Virgin Islands album of all time. They're tied. My favorite music in the entire world, as y'all know, is anything from Jamban. That is my favorite. My favorite music. I could listen to Jamban all day, every day. Don't matter. I could listen to Jamban all day, every day. Don't matter what mood I'm in. I could listen to Jamban. And then, but outside of my favorite music, which is Jamban, if I had to pick another album outside of our genre, it would be Purple Rain. Prince or bad. I would die for you. Woo! Oh, Miss Prince was sexy. I don't care what nobody said. I love me some Prince. All right. And so yeah, that's Prince. On Monday, I want you guys to pay attention. There's an important bill being vetted on the agenda. It's sponsored by the primary sponsor is Senator Maurice James, Esquire, and it is a measure that will allow for the opportunity for individuals who want to represent you in the territory and just so happens to be employed by the government of the Virgin Islands to not to have to choose between their desire to be of service and being able to take care of their families. And I think it is a measure that everybody needs to be supporting, because what we do when we don't allow government employees the opportunity to run without asking them to take all this time away from work is that we disenfranchise voters, and we don't give voters an opportunity to select the candidate that they most identify with. And what you get as a result is a bunch of retirees, people who've already got their 30 years in government or however much years in government, then they retire, and then they want to be of service. So there's always like a age discrepancy in the Senate traditionally. We've seen some shifts and changes in that, but that's not the typical norm, and people have to take so much time off of jobs. And for people, especially for those people who ran for office while being a government employee, I think that they should be super supportive of this measure, because they know the hardship that they had to go through. And I don't subscribe to the, oh, I suffer, so you must suffer too mentality. I think that we should let's make it easier. And I think that all senators should be comfortable on the platform and on the measures that they have been able to produce, or if they haven't been able to produce any measure, be comfortable in this in the bills that they've co-sponsored, bills that they've supported, or initiatives that they've done within the community, to be able to go back to the community and say, hey, I've done this and I'm asking you to allow me to continue to represent you. And I don't think that you should gatekeep, and not allowing government workers to run without all of this restriction is gatekeeping, in my opinion. And so is gatekeeping in my opinion. And so I want for you to pay attention. I think that the bill is a extremely well written measure. I think that if this bill passes, what we'll see, everybody will going to talk about, oh, you're going to have 100 people on the ballot. They have 100 people on the ballot now, and half of them aren't anybody that I would want to represent me in any situation. And so at least we can get some, it's so different when you have an individual who may have worked in a government agency for a long time. They bring a unique perspective that may not exist currently in the legislature. They may bring a different set of skills into the institution that the institution didn't realize that they need. And what that allows is that there may be younger Virgin Islanders. I'm on this radio program and I've been doing radio now. My oldest son is how old Chappie is, however old he is, because I'm only 40, right? But however old Chappie is, I've been doing, you take away a year from his age, and that's how long I've been doing radio. I've been doing radio for such a long time. And it seems like I have been saying the same things for so long. And you repeat, rings, repeat. And we don't get a change because we don't have new and innovative ways of thinking joining the fray. And so we need to allow a pathway for other individuals to enter into the public service realm. And when I say that, I'm not just saying like carte blanche, just vote for people. There is something to be said about institutional knowledge, and there's something to be said about understanding how our government works, because I have had discussions with younger Virgin Islanders, and they are so ill-informed about the way our government functions and the system of checks and balances and what you're supposed to do, what versus what you think a senator is supposed to do, and what is actually the duties and responsibilities as outlined in the revised Organic Act and by the laws of the Virgin Islands, the adopted codified laws of the Virgin Islands. It's so strange. There's a disconnect where there's so many people who have college degrees. Some of them have advanced degrees, and they just don't understand how our government work and our relationship to the federal government. And so we need to be able to, do away with the gatekeeping and, mentor younger Virgin Islanders so that somebody have to take over you have to be able to pass the baton. And nobody, like, I don't want to be doing radio past a certain age, and I'm not going to be doing radio past a certain age. I'm going to pass the baton, and I just need to identify the person that I would like to pass, or the persons, because it may not be one, it may be more than one people that I can pass the baton to and say, hey, listen, you up next. You're going to have to be the voice that educates, the voice that sometimes calls out, the voice that checks people, the voice that may offer some hope in a dark circumstance or whatever, humor as well. So we can't gatekeep. And this measure does away with the gatekeeping for this branch of government. And I hope that, it's a difficult committee to get it out of. So I'm hoping that Senator James is able to advance her bill out of the Committee of Jurisdiction. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And I hope that you guys pay attention and, all these other people like to pass a wrong petition for the right to be able to run to represent the community that you live in. That is something that you should be petitioning for, not for some man that don't live here to be walking around with a gun out like he there in the wild west. All right. So, okay. Let me see. Oh, good morning. I have people. So good morning to everybody listening. Let me see. Good morning. Good morning. How I can't scroll down. Okay. All I'm seeing on this is scroll up too fast. Okay. All I'm seeing is Shelly Moorhead says Prince was a boss. Yes, Shelly, he was. So did somebody say Prince wasn't a boss? Prince was a boss. Prince was a boss. He's undisputed a boss. Wait, Henry said his music was unique. His music wasn't unique. Prince had really good music. Prince music was timeless, and he was a prolific writer. I like all of Prince. I like everything from Prince. I love Prince. Yeah. All right. So that's the comments that I'm seeing. And then the last comment, okay, we need to encourage young, brilliant minds to become political leaders. Yes. And I completely agree. And we also need to encourage young, brilliant minds to become talk show hosts. So we need to get some into the radio arena, into the educating the public on the things that work arena. Okay, so and let me share this with you while we're here, right? And talking about bills and measures, and just I'm going to reverse a little bit because I think this is important, because somebody said the other day, when people don't understand that the office of delegate to Congress was created in the Virgin Islands after the Virgin Islands was granted the right to elect its first governor. Prior to 1970, the Virgin Islands had appointed governors. And before that, we used to have like naval governors, and then we had appointed civilian governors. And one of those appointed governors was, hey, good morning, Afi. How are you? Love you plenty. One of those, the last appointed governor became our first elected governor in Melvin Evans. That's the highway is named after him. And after we the Virgin Islands, we gained the right to vote for governor of the United States. We used to have a governor's representative in Washington, D.C. So under our appointed governors, and during the first term of our, or the first couple of years, the first 2 years of our elected governor, we had what was called a governor's representative in Washington, D.C. And the title is important because it was the governor's representative. That's the governor represents the people of the Virgin Islands under the appointed terms. We made local laws, but the governor, the naval appointed governors, the regular appointed governors, and were the end all in our territory. We got a right to vote for our own governor. And those governors had somebody in Washington lobbying Congress proper for the territory to make sure that our needs are being met here in the territory. When the law was passed, because it's a US law, it was passed, it said that the Virgin Islands can have a non-voting member, a non-voting representative in Congress, right? And that person isn't a member of Congress proper. They are a non-voting representative in the House of Representatives. And it said that the local government, because it was the Virgin Islands and Guam, could enact laws speaking to what what that office would look like. And I need for you to understand that Congress said our legislature, our government, our local government gets to determine how the office they're allowing us to create is going to look. Right? And so when people talk about, and we have this notion, this idea, and this misbelief, and this current delegate has perpetuated this misconception the most in recent times, somehow that the delegate to Congress role is more important than the three branches of government within the territory. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. People need to understand it is not. The delegate to Congress, if there's a vacancy in that office, and that vacancy exists within the second year of the term, instead of having a special election, the legislature, and that tells you that the delegate's role is to advance the needs that the territory, through the territorial representation, has identified. You are lobbyer in chief. That's what you are. That's what that role is, right? And so this idea somehow, when you notify government agencies, because people don't understand protocol and don't understand how government is set up, you can't devalue or diminish the leaders in our territory and make it appear that somehow this office that is codified in the Virgin Islands Code, and that the legislature appoints the next member of Congress should a vacancy exist, is lower than this office. That's not how it works. You just happen to have a national spotlight because you're in Washington, D.C., and people in the Virgin Islands, we like, oh, everybody in the States know you. People you're going to the States, you're going to America, and somehow we think that because you're in America, you are above the little territory, because America is seen as this great land of opportunity. And we have been so trained to believe that everything in America is so much better than everything in the Virgin Islands. But no, that's not what it is. That delegate's role is to do the work for the people in our territory and to take the lead from the governor of the Virgin Islands and the members of the legislature. So I'm going to say this one more time, because I've seen so many programs that's written. If you don't know protocol, you continue to make the mistake, and I'm here to correct it for you. The delegate to Congress, whoever that person is, does not speak after the president of the legislature. She does not speak after the head of the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands. She does not speak after the head of the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, nor does she speak after the governor or the lieutenant governor of the Virgin Islands. So when you're doing a booklet, the first public official to speak should be the delegate to Congress. And if you invite the president and the third branch, then you do the third branch, then you do the legislature, and then the last person to speak on any program is the governor of the Virgin Islands. Get it right. Get it right. Just get that right. So I need for people to understand that that office is not higher than the governor of the Virgin Islands. And to treat it as such is wrong. And we said it, we continue to say it, and it's not more important than the legislature of the Virgin Islands. They might get paid more because everybody in the Virgin Islands are get paid more than the legislature, right? But it's not more important. And we need to understand that. All right. And if it was so important, you would not see members from the House of Representatives leaving the House of Representatives to go run for governor of their respective states. Members of Congress aren't more important than the governor of the states. They're not. The members of Congress are they take guidance from their state. And in some states, when you have, even if you have a state with a Democratic governor, and say you have 20 members of Congress because of your population, and your caucus, your state caucus is leaning Republican, but you happen to have a Democratic governor, you better believe that those 20 members, they're going to be, if there's funds to be had, or if there's special projects in their states, they're going to come together, despite what side of the aisle they're on, to lobby to make sure that their state get the money for the federal bridge. They get the money for the federal road. They get, so that's what you do. You take the lead from the governor of your state. And if you don't believe me, it's a simple Google search. You can go see that there are members of Congress who leave to go run for governor of their state. So when I hear young people talk about, oh, the delegate more powerful than the governor, no. If there's a vacancy, the legislature appoints the next delegate. That tells you all you need to know. Sit and do the work and the bidding of the people. All right? So we just needed to clear that up. Whoever sits in that seat needs to understand that they're supposed to be pushing our agenda. And pushing our agenda meant that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when they passed the bill for the GRS, that's when we wanted the rum cover over legislation to be introduced. When the governor of our Virgin Islands joined in a SSI lawsuit, that meant that we wanted you to introduce the SSI language to allow for our people with disabilities to have SSI here in the territory. Not, I gonna do what I want to do to raise my own profile. The next person, because there are talks that this delegate A running, that she wants to go run for governor of the Virgin Islands. I don't know. I haven't seen it. She ain't tell me, her friend. So she ain't gonna tell me. But whoever the next delegate is, we have to start holding the delegate accountable. We don't get any wins for the territory. We don't get any federal legislation, any special federal funds coming here to the territory. And look at what's happening now. We are now showing, we're now being told how dependent we are on federal funds. And we don't have good relationships because our delegate chose to be super partisan, and we don't have friends across the aisle to be able to assist us in these dire times of all of the federal craziness that's happening. What? It says somebody just make a big post. It says, so when the governor says she told him to tell her whenever she comes into her town, he just did it as a courtesy. So Plaskett needs to be given grace, or is it just more political jockeying? I don't know what you mean by that comment, sir. You can call in, but I will tell you that the governor said what he said. I'm supposed to be interviewing the governor the next time he's on St. Croix on a Saturday. Hopefully it'll be before Thanksgiving. We were trying to get it for today, but then I realized I changed my number. He didn't have my new number. His office did it. So that was my fault. So they couldn't get me to get it together. So I gave them the right number. But so when the governor says she told him to tell her whenever, she could tell you what she wants to tell him. She tried it. This delegate has demonstrated, she wants to act like she's the big fish in the small pot that's Washington, D.C. But, we haven't seen the delegate. When the delegate was the impeachment manager, she was the apple of the Democratic Party eye. And that was because, and I told you this before, they had nothing to lose. Having her as an impeachment manager meant that that was not a seat that they could be challenged by a Republican and lose a vote on the floor, because she's non-voting. And so she was able to go out and take shots at Donald Trump. She was able to go out and speak against the Republican Party and Donald Trump in particular, because the Democrats her seat isn't a seat that votes. So she could go and she could be the mouthpiece all day. But with this Epstein situation and her silence on the Epstein situation and the cries from members of her own party to release all of the Epstein files, I ain't hearing she talking about Donald Trump. She's very, very quiet. And it seems that the Democratic Party, the new apple of the Democratic Party eye is this chick Jasmine Crockett. And Jasmine Crockett is all over your internet, all on the TV, all the places you used to see the delegate. Now Jasmine Crockett is there. And the Democratic Party really appears on the national level not to have any further use for the delegate because, you know, we can't ask you to release Epstein file because you don't want them released. Because you don't want them released because you get sued because of Epstein. And so go figure. You know, the enemy of my enemy is now my friend. That's a very dangerous notion, but that's what appears and what looks to be happening. And so, you know, she can say, you know, she tried that with Kenneth Mapp, and Kenneth Mapp told her straight up and down, there's only one governor of the Virgin Islands, and that's me, not you. I don't need to tell you what I am doing. You're supposed to do the bidding of the people. He said she straight one time for the one time. You know, when the governor comes up, I am sure, knowing this governor, he probably set her straight too. You know, and I don't know anything about being given grace. I don't think I said that, but I don't know. Yeah, and I don't understand the other political. I mean, she might be jockeying politically to act like she have, you know, all of this clout and all of this relationship. But where's her relationship when we ain't getting food stamps come November 1st? So go figure. So her relationship, yeah, her relationship don't really, it seems to be fragile at this moment, which may be the reason why she ain't gonna run for Congress, and maybe why she wants to run locally, the school children say, for governor of the Virgin Islands, because, you know, then people, she's not going to be in the kind of spotlight she was previously in. And when you've been in a national spotlight like that, you would, you know, people crave that kind of attention. And we see it, we saw it, you know, she posts on the interweb to become famous and walking in the, you know, and all these posts that she's placed before. Amy posts them, is she? And when you're no longer in that kind of spotlight, now being governor of the Virgin Islands would put you in an elevated spotlight that you've lost. So you'll have to ask her reason why she wants to run, but that's why I think some people do things. Not that they necessarily want to be in the Virgin Islands, not that they necessarily want to govern the Virgin Islands, because I don't even think they understand how our government operates. Even if you have a law degree, that doesn't mean you understand how our government functions, how our people move. And it just seems a little weird to me, but it is what it is. I'm an equal opportunity basher. When any of them announce that they're running, I will be asking the appropriate questions. Just a gentle reminder, the Department of Human Services is asking that all SNAP recipients that you please, you know, I know it's coming towards the end of the month. Next week, Saturday, you will not have money on your food stamp card. You will not have money on your food stamp card. So don't go down to food stamps on Monday, because there isn't any money to be had. And please don't say that the Virgin Islands government thief the SNAP money. There's no money to be had. This is a federal program. Ain't nobody thief nothing. Is that the federal government is on shutdown, and the federal department, the Food and Drug Administration, or I mean the US and the USDA has advised that SNAP benefits for November, they ask all states not to process any payments because it's not funded. So please try to monitor. And there's what people don't understand, that there's so much more we have. If the government shutdown continues, it has a lot of implications here in the territory. We are heavily reliant on federal funds. A majority of a great portion of our budget is based on government funds. So I think out of the general fund budget, it averages about 900 million or so, about maybe or a little less. And then we get to the 1.3 billion that the budget is, it's 1.3 billion that the budget is. The rest of that is federal funds. And so the majority of the rest of that is the federal funds. So we are reliant on federal funds. So our relationship with this federal shutdown gonna look a lot different than a lot of other states' relationship with this federal shutdown. But if you are, if if you have your SNAP, try to conserve the food that you have. Old people used to say, make your food lang. So, try make your food lang. If you have a can of beans, instead of drying, cooking the beans till it's thick, lang out the beans and, give a few beans and put more sauce on the rice. Rice is a starch, beans is a protein, that's a meal. Grab a vegetable, a can of vegetable. Just change, you're going to have to change the way you eat for a little bit, because I don't see a path where the government of the Virgin Islands can fund the people who are on food stamp. It's a federal program for a reason. It's untenable to be able to supply that kind of money. There's, if your students, if your children are school age, please encourage them, because so many children don't like to go to eat the school lunch. Encourage them to eat lunch in school. At least they get some food. I don't know what's happening at my brother's table or at Catholic Charities, but I do know that they provide food. And I'm hoping that the government of the Virgin Islands can have a discussion with those places, those places such as some of our restaurants, some of our stores, that at the end of the day, if you're not using some of the food, if you can, somebody's calling me, if you can use, hey, good morning. You can use, take those food, plate them up and just have families drive by and like pick up a plate of food. And I'm just brainstorming as I'm talking to you here, but we can't have our Virgin Islands children, especially, and our most vulnerable seniors, go hungry. All right. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Jamila. What's up?
Hi, good. What's going on with you?
Everything good, man. Excellent program, because there's so many people that don't understand procedures and how government works. So today, I hope a lot of people was taking it down in the notebook, or a lot of these people were working for government and things, because you won't believe how much people working for government and they still don't understand procedures, Jamila.
I
don't. So it was so, sometimes I talk to people, and people who you swear you think they know, and they kind of pride, tell you to be like, you can't be, I know you don't want to know something where the place in the disarray is. You hear what I'm telling you?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes you'll be like, dude, we're like
crazy, you know what I mean? I tell you, these people sometimes you really swear they had just common sense.
Yeah.
But my son,
common sense is so common, common sense is so common.
Well, I know I see that now, my son, and every day it look like it's hard to find common sense now, my son. So no, on the real side, man. So I was listening and saying, my son, I hope a lot of people I hope they tape you. A lot of them, what thing they know.
No, listen, they're taping me. They're taping me. They go, listen, I know for sure, whenever that legislature have a caucus meeting, right? My ear gonna be ringing. The other day, my ear was like my ear, I feel like I need to, what do you call it? Like, I need to pop. And somebody tell me, no, Jamila, I mean, they're talking about you. But on my ear, I need to pop for and I was like, me even traveling, how my ear need to pop. But I know my ear gonna start to hurt me. I know the next time they have a caucus meeting, but I don't care. I am defending.
You must be the most thing in them caucus meeting, because this is the first I ever heard someone senator come telling me this. I say, look, I fight for myself, and I fight for me,
Yeah.
I fight for me, and speak and thing, and that's the thing, Jamila, when you go to race and you speak the truth. When you speak the truth, you don't have nothing to worry about.
Listen, and that's why I tell them. And my thing is that you have to respect the institution. The institution have processes. One senator cannot make a pestacle of an institution and invite people that she knows that the bills weren't going to be heard because she was told, and had people come to the legislature, waste their time to come down, all because she wanted to look good in the eyes of one man. No, man. I mean, I don't want to look good in the eyes of one man, you know. Like I'm sure they have one man out there that I don't want to like look good for. I might even like starve myself and lose like 2 pounds to you know to get a man. But come on, man. No, the institution is greater than any one individual, and you cannot use my platform. I'm not an elected member of the institution, but I don't come here and I don't explain about the institution because I think it's important that the people understand the work. They have good people working in that building, and when you have a platform and you gonna lie just because you want to get your own way, no man, you acting like a petulant child. And what we don't do with petulant children, we just discipline them. So you got discipline. Yes, you get discipline.
You know that institution have a lot of good people.
Yes.
You might find one or two what might want to be a freak, but that they don't speak for the entire institution. You know that kind of way.
Yes.
And that's how I deal with things. I deal with who think with me. I don't just put a broad brush on the whole place and make it seem like everybody. No. I deal with who I have to deal with, and that's how I do things. But I glad Jamila the way you explain it to me, because I tell you the truth, you'll really be surprised. People who you really think know procedures and don't have a clue, you know, Jamila. I'll be like how you say the protocol will go, like the delegates speak first and thing like that. Let them take for thing. A lot of people don't understand that, you know, Jamila.
Yeah, they don't.
When they're doing a meeting or they're going to do a program and thing, they don't put, you don't do thing any really way and thing like that. It don't work like that. Yeah. And when you're telling people, so they think like, oh, because that's the way you could be doing something like that for a long time, but you were doing it wrong.
Okay, it's true. But Rafi, I get 2 minutes and I need to do my little condolences now. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
So
okay.
Jamila, enjoy your weekend.
You do the same. Okay then.
All right,
okay, bye-bye. All right. So I promise y'all I doing the sad stuff at the end of the show. But I want to say that next week we're going to be talking about Stephen Payne, because the 34th legislature was the institution as a whole was, you know, should hold their head high, because they knew that he was wrong. And we'll talk about this climate of pedophilia and all of these pedophilia loving politicians around here, and all of these people who pushing people who like pedophiles wrong here up to the forefront. We'll talk about that next week, Saturday. I didn't have enough time for this Saturday, and I want a whole 2 hours to talk about these pedophiles next time. And I want to offer my condolences to my good friend Jelani Ritter and to the entire Milligan family on the passing of Marcia Milligan from Frederickstead. So deepest condolences extended to their family, and to my sister. I love her. You are my sister in love, and you are my chosen sister. To Kim and to Kerry, my brother and my sister, my thoughts and prayers are with you today and always. Until next time, I don't know how to be anybody but just Jamila, and I happen to love being just Jamila. Until next time, bye-bye.